first of all, let me say that this, not at the AP level, mind you, this should just be a required course as far as I'm concerned. This should be a required course. It should be African-American studies. And not obviously everybody can do it at the same level as AP, but nonetheless, it should be a required course. So the third thing that they don't like is movements for Black lives. Go figure. They're not happy with the Black Lives Matter movement.
They don't matter, so why make it matter?
So this is what their concern is. Movement for Black lives. So, and I love how they call it movement for Black lives instead of Black Lives Matter. So they're making it be broader than it actually is when that's not even a thing. There is no movement for Black lives. It was Black Lives Matter. Or did they change their name to Movement for Black Lives? And I just hadn't gotten that memo.
No, again, it's just the wording of it that's supposed to be distorted.
It
and
is.
Make people confused.
They say it's an organization with stated objectives that include eliminating prisons and jails, ending pretrial detention, and concluding the war on Black, trans, queer, gender nonconforming, and intersex people. Yeah. Yeah, all of those things. Therefore, all of those things. Yes. Yeah. Well, and the fact that perspective can't even be presented is, to me, this is screaming fascism to me. Well, anytime we're preventing people from having information, to me, it's extremely scary.
Well, no, I mean, to me, this is one of the reasons why I don't like this stuff, because it comes off as uber, woke liberal stuff. The way I would phrase it, if I was in control, I would just say we're teaching Marxist theory.
They won't like that. Are you kidding me?
No,
you think that's going to go over better?
No, what I'm saying is that just say that's what you're teaching. You're teaching Marxist theory, and let them say you're not allowed to learn it.
They will. That's part of the list. I haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. No, we haven't gotten to that. Oh, please. We haven't gotten to that yet.
I'm sorry for jumping ahead.
And then the next one, but let me look at what they say in terms of what the Black movements, movements and methods. Was that what it was? Movements and what I'm trying to say, movements for Black lives. Okay. So actually what it's called is movements and methods, right? Isn't that right? Movements. What am I finding here? I'm all out of whack. Hold on. Movements. No, not the Black Power movement. They didn't have a problem with that. It's weird what they did have. Well, it's weird. Like there's certain things that they cherry picked, and it's really, so it's 4.29 is the one that I'm looking for. Okay. I
almost feel like the things that they pick are specifically ones that they know are going to go over the right way. And
it's all political theater. Okay, so here it is. Topic 4.29, movements for Black lives. This is the official syllabus that I'm reading. This topic explores the origins, mission, and global influence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the movement for Black lives. So that is a different thing. Students may examine a primary source text, photographs, or a secondary text from scholars, such as, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But okay, so it's basically studying that movement as a historical movement, as what happened in history, just like we would study the civil rights movement. Well, that was a huge movement after George Floyd. That was huge. That was one of the biggest movements that, that we've seen in decades, so to not teach it is just ridiculous. This syllabus does not say we're promoting the Black Lives Matter agenda. It says we're teaching about it in its origins and what its mission and what its influence was. Yeah, that's called teaching history. Okay, so that's ridiculous. Then the next one. Oh, this one really, really pisses me off. So Black feminist literary thought. Let's just eliminate the existence of Black female literary writers and their shared experiences.
So I guess this is a direct shot at Maya Angelou.
All of that. Okay. But here's what they specifically don't like. And they specifically call out bell hooks. Again, should be required reading. Bell Hooks was a Black feminist author. I read her stuff, her book called Ain't I a Woman, which is, obviously taking off of the Sojourner Truth speech, the title. But the Bell Hooks book that I read in college, it was one of those like life-changing things. Like that should be required reading. And the fact that they don't even state what the concern is with Black feminist literary thought as a topic, but they specifically call out Bell Hooks. This is absurd. This is exactly the kind of stuff that I do want my smart high school students reading. Is that for everybody who should be in African American studies? No, maybe not. Maybe that is just an AP course, but not because they shouldn't learn it, but just because, some stuff is complicated to understand. Bell Hooks is, she was brilliant. So I'm just saying, I get that. Let's see, the next one we have issues with. The reparations movement. And it says, and this is why, all points and resources in the study advocate for reparations. There is no critical perspective or balancing opinion in this lesson.
Well, let's see. When the Civil War was decided, it was decided that 40 acres and a mule was compensation just for families that were enslaved. They never got it, nothing close to it, and they're still waiting for it.
And here's the thing, really. The only argument against reparations is we don't think that they're worthy of and value to give what they're due. Because you have a contract, you pay your due. That's how it works. You owe money, you pay your money. So to then not pay it is like, that shouldn't be, that's not an option.
So come on, we got wars to fund.
Right. So here's what it actually is. The topic explores the case for reparations for the centuries-long enslavement and legal discrimination of African Americans in the U.S. Students may examine House Bill H.R. 40 and a text by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And by the way, Ta-Nehisi Coates is pretty milquetoast if you were talking about like Black radical movement. Like he's not.
Read some Fred Hampton stuff.
So they have a problem with that. But more importantly, and this is what this one's so ridiculous here. This is the one that really gets me. Okay, the sixth topic of the AP African American Studies thing that the last one is called topic 4.31, Black Study and Black Struggle in the 21st Century. Okay. And notice they don't have a reason for their concern, but what they're saying is that the argument that is made in the syllabus is that activism rather than the university system is the catalyst for social transformation. You know what? Their arguments are just bullshit. Basically, they just don't want us to learn that there is institutionalized racism. That's their problem with critical race theory in general, is instead of it being on the onus of individuals, whether they're racist or not, critical race theory suggests, based on, empirical evidence, that there is this institutionalized system of oppression, and it isn't based on individuals just being racist. And they don't want that concept taught. It's infuriating. It's infuriating.
And again, these types of conversations end up happening for reasons that, as I would normally say, it doesn't really make any difference whether you have an opinion about it or not. This is an elective course. You are not required to take it. This is a choice. If
exactly.
you take it.
That's the thing.
You can take it. And if this is what you want to learn, then this is what you can learn. It's
interesting that these are the same people that are constantly bitching about parents' rights. Well, if it's an elective course, you have the right for your kid to not take that course.
Don't get me wrong. I have no doubt that the parents, like the Brenda Phams of the world, have a very heavy voice when it comes to this type of thing. That's really what it's stemming from.
I know.
There is sort of this sort of suburban, affluent, and it isn't really whether it's conservative or liberal. It's just this idea, if anybody has ever been involved with the PTA or knows how some of these parents are in the more well-to-do and even affluent areas, they have very strong opinions about this. I have no doubt that a lot of it comes from regions like Jacksonville, which, Governor DeSantis once represented in Congress, that a lot of these parents in, let's say, Duval and St. Johns County are very active in saying, we don't want any of this stuff taught in our classrooms. We want America the Beautiful taught at all times.
You're right, Metalopoly. And actually, that's something Peter was just talking about earlier. You're not incorrect. And that's something that I think that is very hard for a lot of white liberal people to understand. This is something that was made very clear to me like a couple of years ago in terms of different communities and cultural things. And it is not just that because people are in the Black community that they're automatically like liberal and or progressive or any of the above. It does not mean that.
No.
So they are, you have the same opinions in there as you will in a lot of places.
No, and before you got here, I had mentioned that this is particularly if there is a particular topic that I would say is going to draw the ire of a lot of parents that doesn't need to be in here, it's Black queer studies. Like that specifically is going to piss some people off, especially in the Black community who tend to lean very socially conservative.
Okay, give them that one. All right. But here's the thing.
Movements for Black lives. Come on.
But they're teaching it as a historical perspective. That happened? Well, it did. So we should learn it as part of history. But they seem to really get their panties in a bunch by certain words, by wording. They don't like the word intersectional. That somehow really bothers them. Like, I don't know if it's because they conflate it with intersexual and they don't know what that is, or I don't know what their deal is with the word intersectional. But if you are a human, you have multiple different aspects. We all are intersectional. We're all like, whatever our gender, whatever our race, whatever it is, we all have different multiple things. Nobody is one thing. So the whole world is intersectional. I don't know why that bothers them. They think it's some like woke thing. No, it's just this sort of advanced thought process that thinks we should examine things in context of other things because it makes more sense to look at things within the systems that they reside. It's called science.
People are going to learn what they're going to learn. You're not going to be able to stop, this whole so-called indoctrination of people. That's not what this is. People have a right to think of other ideas. You can't control free thought. If you think you can. And this is the line, if you will, that is, to me, makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If you're a libertarian, then this should piss you off like nobody's business, because it's not based in reality. This idea that I can determine what you should and should not read, or what you can and cannot learn. You have to agree with it. But this idea that you're going to ban it, it's nonsensical, but we all know why it's being done. There is a major conservative backlash happening in this country right now. And it's done on purpose because, let's face it, so much of what the corporate left or corporate Dems want to do is basically put, let's say, the woke culture at the front line, the trans culture at the front line. And why is that? Because they are a microcosm of society, and they know it's going to piss off a lot of people. And by focusing on that, which has nothing to do with your daily lives, you probably all don't even know a trans person, much less associate with them. But you're so damn concerned about what they do in their private lives that you make it this major circumstance of, I have to stop what they're doing because I don't like it. Do you not see the issue here with civil liberties and letting people live?
The irony is that you see the left doing it for so other reasons.
Oh, of course.
Right. It's both sides basically don't want to hear the other side and wants to basically shut up what they're saying. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.